Chapter 270 of Jujutsu Kaisen is here, the penultimate chapter of the series. As with only one chapter left, the tension is at an all-time high, and I'm super excited for what's to come as we try to piece together this finale of the series. In chapter 270, we witness Megumi and Shoko visiting the grave of Megumi's sister. We also talk about the remains of Sukuna, as well as the lingering presence of cursed spirits, as Jujutsu sorcerers still have to fulfill their daily duties. And despite the culling games being over, the aftermath of the event is still being felt across Japan. This chapter also features Maki, who returns with Daido and Mio, as it sets the stage for a deeper conversation about the consequences of Yuji and Hana's efforts to free the incarnated sorcerers. Tokyo is now a cursed spirit hotspot, and spirits are gathering from all over Japan, and the stakes are rising. This chapter also features characters like Charles and Takaba, who offer a bit of a light-hearted touch to this second to last chapter of the series. Now, be sure to stick around until the very end of this video, as I'll be talking about the new case that Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara have been tasked to handle, as the team take on their final task of dealing with this cursed user who appears to be harassing a couple. Chapter 270 of Jujutsu Kaisen is titled Dream's End, and this chapter makes up the epilogue following the intense Shinjuku Showdown arc. Chapter 270 has a lot of moments of reflection, as a lot of character arcs are wrapping up and we're getting the answers to some ongoing mysteries, but still there are so many pressing questions that need to be answered, especially regarding the absence of Gojo and some other unresolving plot points in relation to Kinjaku and the fallout from the culling game, which I'll touch upon later in the video. So the chapter opens with Megumi visiting a Fushiguro family grave as he pays respect to his deceased sister. Shoko is also there as she assists with the ceremony, and Shoko's light-hearted attitude towards cleaning up Megumi's sister's body contrasts with Megumi's very somber tone, as the chapter has a blurb saying, "Praying for his dead sister's happiness in the afterlife." Shoko humorously remarks that even though she doesn't believe in the afterlife, she is glad that she can at least make someone look better in it. Shoko expresses regret about not handling Geto's body herself, calling him an idiot, as this statement brings an eerie sense of closure for Shoko, but it leaves readers questioning the state of Geto's body, considering how he was manipulated throughout the entire series by Kinjaku. Megumi then gets a call, and it's from Gakuganji, as he reveals that among the remains of Sukuna that were ripped away from Megumi's body, what was left behind was Tengen-sama, who had been absorbed. So the remains of Sukuna are now partially infused with the essence of Master Tengen, and this appears to be stabilizing the barriers which had once protected Japan. Gakuganji explains to Utahime and Nita that Sukuna's remains will temporarily hold the barriers, thus ensuring that cursed energy remains somewhat contained for a bit longer. Utahime urges the group to quickly devise a strategy, while Gakuganji reassures her that there is no need to hurry, as he emphasizes how the entire group is made of youthful sorcerers, suggesting that their journey and battles are still far from over. So we now turn our attention towards some of the aftermath of the culling games, as we see characters like Maki, Daido, and Mio. Maki is accompanied by the swordsman Daido and the sumo master Mio, who, if you remember, played a bit more of a prominent role in the culling games arc. I know that there is a lot of people who don't really remember them. So although the culling game is no longer in existence, Tokyo still remains as a cursed zone, as curses from all over Japan are gathering in Tokyo. Maki explains that Yuji and Hana are working to free the incarnated sorcerers from the culling games, as Daido expresses his eagerness to cut down more cursed spirits, while Mio complains about the lack of excitement in sumo matches against cursed spirits. Maki thanks the two of them for their help and warns them to be cautious. Daido then asks Maki to face him when it's time to end his cursed existence. The translations are a bit rough here, but it hints at Daido and Maki having a final showdown. This is when everything is said and done. We then turn our attention towards Charles, as he has a lot of meta commentary about the world of manga. If you remember, Charles is a troubled mangaka, and through his character we get a lot of commentary about the state of the manga industry. He criticizes the transition from print manga to digital manga, as he emphasizes the value of feedback from printed works. Charles refers to himself as a mangaka whose art isn't good enough. It seems like he is with his editor and he's about to publish publish a one-shot chapter. And it really does feel like everybody's character arcs are winding down as we're catching up with a lot of key characters from the past story arcs and what they're getting up to now following the events of the Shinjuku Showdown arc. We then turn our attention towards Takaba, who is seen discussing comedy routines with a mysterious figure whose identity is obscured. This figure bears a striking resemblance to Suguru Geto or Kenjaku, and this has caused a lot of confusion amongst fans. But it's strange that Gege's literally got a speech bubble covering this guy who looks exactly like Geto. Takaba insists that their comedy routine shouldn't involve dirty jokes, as he draws parallel to lowbrow humor which is found in old school gag manga. Fans are honestly left wondering whether if this scene is a flashback or if it's currently happening right now. Or is it as a result of Takaba's reality bending curse technique, which allows him to bring into reality anything that he deems to be funny? Did Takaba somehow resurrect Kenjaku / Pseudo Geto for comedic purposes, or is this somebody else who is dressed up to look like Kenjaku? Again, this question is unanswered. We then catch up with Amai and Higuruma as we see that Amai had betrayed Yuji in the past. As he seeks redemption within this chapter, he meets a former associate and apologizes for his past actions, reflecting on his desire to become a better person. His honest apology, contrasted against the confused reaction of the person that he's apologizing to, does create for a very funny but heartwarming moment. And it doesn't help that the leaked translations call the person that Amai is apologizing to Fatty Bombati. We then see Megumi and Hana have a conversation in which Megumi offers to take responsibility for having lost her arm when it was bitten off by Sukuna. This was while Sukuna was manipulating Megumi's body. Angel clarifies that Sukuna had accessed Megumi's memories in order to exploit Hana's feelings for him, and Hana hilariously misinterprets Megumi's offer as she believes it to be a wedding proposal, as she asks when is the wedding ceremony going to be. Megumi becomes flustered as he clarifies that he didn't mean it in that way, as Hana thinks to herself that she was way too hasty and it resulted in Megumi becoming nervous. Okay, now we turn our attention towards the very end of the chapter as we're introduced to a new curse that Yuji, Megumi and Nomara are investigating. So this case involves a young couple, and the woman reports that her fiance's face has changed as it's transformed into this grotesque appearance with really enlarged eyes. When the three of them go to investigate, they determine that the man isn't actually cursed, it's in fact the woman. Megumi speculates that this curse is the work of somebody who has survived the culling games, and it may not be as a result of a cursed spirit, but instead it's being inflicted by a curse user, as Megumi speculates that the curse is the work of a surviving Culling Games player, but there is still a possibility that it may be as a result of a semi-first grade cursed spirit. This is because they are not really feeling any murderous intent for them to really conclude that this is because of a curse user. Regardless, they deduce that this curse is probably as a result of harassment by a curse user, as Yuji says that this is an easy win for the three of them. Then the chapter ends with a blurb saying that the next issue is the last chapter, so that's chapter 271. This is the group's final mission as Yuji and company deal with the harassing curse user case. So despite a lot happening within chapter 270, there are a lot of plot points that remain unanswered. One notable one is the absence of Gojo, which continues to hang over the story, as we're left to wonder just what on earth is happening to Gojo. Is he going to return, or is he actually dead? Hopefully his fate is finally revealed in chapter 271. And then what's this deal with apparently Geto returning as Takaba's comedy partner? Chapter 270 reveals a bit of emotional weight in terms of Megumi's character arc as he visits his sister's grave and he apologizes to Angel. We also catch up with other characters like Maki speaking to Daido and Mio, and then what's been going on with Charles, as well as Amai and Higuruma, as Higuruma has struggled with the guilt that he had felt for killing two people during the Culling Games. But this chapter reveals that he ends up being spared from prosecution by the higher-ups, who recognize Higuruma's value as a sorcerer, as they pressure him to continue his Jujutsu sorcerer duties. One of the lawyers who work with him reassures Higuruma that they will continue to fight for justice on behalf of the victims' families that he ended up killing. There's a lot of fan reaction following this chapter, as people are commenting on Takaba apparently resurrecting Kenjaku just so that they can form an eternal comedy duo. There's no doubt that this is a super funny moment, but there's still a lot of curiosity as to what on earth is going on. There's speculation that Kenjaku could become a new major antagonist of the series, replacing Sukuna, and we may even be getting Jujutsu Kaisen Shippuden with hints of a part 2, as there are still so many unanswered plot threads. Another point of discussion is around the fate of the Culling Games, with Tengen's remains still holding up Japan's barriers, while Yuji and Angel are working to dismantle the incarnated sorcerers. It feels like Japan is healing following all of the major events that have just happened, but it's evident that cursed spirits are still a threat to society. So people are questioning the lack of acknowledgement regarding the United States' involvement in the Culling Games arc, and the fact that now the world knows about the existence of cursed energy and cursed spirits. What implications does this have on the story? Another huge aspect is that fans are wanting to know what's going on with Gojo. We need to get some acknowledgement before Jujutsu Kaisen ends, as he had played such a significant role in the series, and now it just feels like his character is being ignored. Why is there this huge absence surrounding his character, now especially that we have only one chapter left? There are some theories that suggest that the fate of Gojo may play a critical role in the final chapter, and it may set up for the continuation of Jujutsu Kaisen via a sequel series. A lot of people are hoping for this sequel in order to tie up all of these loose ends. People want to know the overall state of the world following the events of the story, as well as this apparent revival of Kenjaku, as we're left to wonder just how much more story does Gege have left to tell. There was this announcement that Jujutsu Kaisen will be ending with this center color page in Shonen Jump issue 44, which is releasing next week, and apparently there will be a happy announcement too, as the editor text says that there is still more to come. So people are speculating that part 2 is going to be coming, while others are saying not to get your hopes up too high, because we've had this several times before where Shonen Jump has hyped up an announcement for the end of a series and it's ended up being nothing. Like for My Hero Academia, they hyped up that there was going to be this major announcement, and all that it was that the manga chapters are going to be free on Manga Plus for people to read. And then remember when Bleach had ended, there was this huge announcement that was revealed. People had thought that the anime was going to be returning, but it ended up being a live action movie announcement. Okay, so this was my quick review and analysis of Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 270. These were all of the latest spoilers that we have to go on. Let me know your thoughts about this penultimate chapter for the Jujutsu Kaisen series. We've reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. Let me know your thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 270. I look forward to reading all of your thoughts, and lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this video, and I can't wait to see you next week for the final chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.